Shazam?
Peacemaker. What a joke.
I'm nobody. I came because I have no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
Truth, justice,
the American way.
I'm vengeance.
Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond side podcast or special podcast, special series, I don't know, called Elseworlds. This is where we talk DC comics, DC Extended Universe, DC cartoons, anything DC TV. Anything I want to talk about on the DC side, we will talk about it here. So our first episode is actually quite a busy episode here. We have, I'm going to give my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's right, the Snyder Cut that is now on HBO Max. I'm going to give my thoughts on the Suicide Squad trailer from James Gunn. And we're also going to talk a little bit of Dr. Fate in the Black Adam film, and that film got a release date as well. So let's go ahead and get over to it. So getting started here, we're going to start with Black Adam. That movie got a release date, which is going to be July 29th of 2022. So that's next year, not long after Black Panther 2, if that keeps its date in July. So we'll see how that goes. This is starring The Rock as Black Adam, which is Shazam's greatest nemesis. He's getting his own film. He's a very popular hero slash anti-hero slash villain of the DC Comics. We have Noah Centineo, who's been in a lot of Netflix stuff. He's going to be playing Albert Rothstein or Atom Smasher. We're also going to get Dr. Fate, which is an old school... before we talk about Dr. Fate, Hawkman, we got Aldous Hodge playing as Hawkman. Let's see here. It was originally this movie was supposed to come out December 22nd of this year, but it got pushed to next year, which is understandable. And we have Dr. Fate. So we're going to have Dr. Fate in this movie. Dr. Fate is a superhero that came in the 1940s. He looks really rad. And the biggest news is that they got Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan is going to play Dr. Fate in Black Adam, which comes out July 29th, 2022. So let's go ahead and look at the DC slate of films for 2022. March 4th, we have The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, directed by Matt Reeves. This is different, of course, from the DCEU Batman, which is Ben Affleck. So this is a different universe than what the Black Adam film is going to be in. We get Black Adam, July 29th, 2022. We get The Flash, November 4th, 2022, if that keeps its date, starring Ezra Miller. It is going to now be directed by Andy Muschietti. Originally had Rick Famuyiwa attached to it. He's directed a few episodes of The Mandalorian, and he's been superb in directing those episodes. But he lost that a while ago. Oh, geez, that was probably, 2013 or 2015 or so that he was the last attached to that. And this is going to be focusing on Flashpoint, which is a not old school, 2011 story arc, but... And we have Aquaman 2, December 16th of 2022, with Jason Momoa back. So, just big releases here coming out in 2022. That's 4 DC films. That's if everything keeps its date. I could see Aquaman getting pushed back, honestly. We have Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which is the second Shazam movie, coming out June 2nd, 2023, is what it's slated for right now. So let's go ahead and talk about a movie that's coming out in 2021, this year, August 6th, in theaters and HBO Max. It's Suicide Squad, or The Suicide Squad. This is the James Gunn. I'm not going to call it a reboot. This is a continuation. As we've seen in the trailer, we get Harley back, we get Captain Boomerang back, we get Rick Flag back, played by Joel Kinnaman. This is rated R, so it's going to be a little different from other Suicide Squad. This is going to be a more think of Guardians of the Galaxy, but rated R, right? That's what it seems to be. Almost like Deadpool Guardians mixed is what this is seemingly going to be, which is awesome. If you don't remember, he got this gig. James Gunn got this gig after getting fired from Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 due to some old tweets that were jokes and, kind of demented jokes, but they were this whole storm where he got fired, he got brought back, but before he got brought back, he had already set up having the Suicide Squad, and we're actually getting a TV show in January of 2022 that they're filming right now with John Cena as Peacemaker, who he's also in this movie as. It's a prequel series to this, so I'm looking forward to that as well. And let's talk some of the trailer of the Suicide Squad. All right, the Suicide Squad Red Band trailer premiered on last Friday, the 26th, I think it was. This was let me just say, I really liked this trailer. It really gave me that old Guardians of the Galaxy feeling with James Gunn, with the music. The music was perfect. It was Steely Dan's Dirty Work, which is a fantastic song for Suicide Squad, really, because it just, if you listen to the lyrics, right, I don't want to do your dirty work no more. That's what these Suicide Squad members are doing, right? They're doing the government's dirty work, and if they don't do it, they get their head blown off. So I do really like that they are, that song choice was really great for this trailer. Feels like a song that would be in Guardians. Again, I'm going to bring up a lot of that comparisons. I think John Cena is going to be fantastic as Peacemaker in this. He's people have said, I think James Gunn has said and stuff, that he's really like the scene stealer of the movie. We have, Margot Robbie coming back as Harley Quinn. Kinnaman as Rick Flag, as I said. Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang, and Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. And we have some new cast members. We have Idris Elba as Bloodsport, John Cena as Peacemaker, David Dastmalchian as Polka Dot Man, Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher 2, Steve Agee as King Shark, Nathan Fillion as TDK, Mei Ling Ning as Mongol, Flula Borg as Javelin, Sean Gunn as Weasel, Michael Rooker as Savant, Pete Davidson as Blackguard, Peter Capaldi as a Thinker, and Alice Braga as Sol Soria. And the villain, as it shows in this trailer, is Starro. That is a famous Justice League villain. It's a huge Godzilla, King Kong-sized starfish with an eye. And that is what, and they spawn little, shellfish or starfish that can, cover up the eyes and take control and kind of force your mind to do stuff. That is Starro, and it's really cool that we're getting Starro as a villain. Something just so outside the box for James Gunn to use. I really like that. And some of these characters that I just named off, people have no idea who they are if they're casual fans. I don't read. I'm trying to get better at reading. Trying to get better at reading DC comics. I've read some, general DC stuff, Batman, Superman, Justice League stuff growing up. But I'm really trying to branch out into more things, and this is something I really want to read. The Ostrander run of Suicide Squad, which is the original run, where some of these characters make their first appearances, and this is just this looks so much fun, and this is something I'm going to have to see in a theater. You know, August 6th, I'm hoping I have the vaccine by then. I'm hoping I'm able to go to, I mean, my movie theaters are open, but, you know, I feel a lot better if I have the vaccine and can, you know, enjoy the movie that way. You know, that's a month after Black Widow, which is the first thing I want to see in theaters. So that'd be great if everything can work out for that. So I can see the Suicide Squad, because this movie looks really fun. I think, you know, James Gunn is going to kill off a lot of these guys, which is going to be awesome as well, because DC let him just choose all these obscure characters where anything can happen with these. There's not too many people attached to, like, Polka Dot Man. You know, there's not many people attached to, you know, other characters. Characters that are going to survive, I feel like, have to be Harley Quinn and King Shark. I feel like those are the for sure. For sure. King Shark is just in so many DC media. You know, the Harley Quinn cartoon, the new Suicide Squad game that's coming out, made by Rocksteady, who did the Batman games. You know, this is... I can't see them letting James Gunn kill off King Shark. Maybe I'll be proven wrong and they actually did let him do that, but I think King Shark is just such a big character right now in all properties that I think that in case if there is a Suicide Squad 2 that, you know, continues James Gunn's vision, they would want King Shark and Harley and maybe one other one to really anchor that team, and then bring in more new guys or new girls that are going to end up getting killed as well. But that's where we're going to stop with Suicide Squad, and we're going to start talking some Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max. I'm going to give my spoiler-free review first, and then I'll pause and warn you before I drop some spoilers. I really enjoyed this movie. I know it's 4 hours long. I watched it over the course of 3 days. Started on Thursday, watched some on Saturday and some on Sunday, the weekend it came out. Just general stuff. I think it was unnecessarily rated R. Same thing as Birds of Prey for me. There was, like, Suicide Squad being R for me is a little different because it's mostly villains that are going to be doing the cursing, and I'm sure it's going to be bloody and stuff. But that's Suicide Squad. When you're talking about, like, Justice League and you're talking about Batman, I don't need to hear Batman drop an F-bomb. I don't need to hear Cyborg or Aquaman, any of these characters dropping F-bombs. Not that I'm totally against it, but I want to have a good Justice League movie to be able to watch with my kids someday. And yes, I could watch the 2017 Justice League, which I thought was okay. I didn't hate it like everybody else. But the fact that this movie is superior to that and my kids won't be able to watch it when I have them, because it's going to be unnecessarily rated R with the language and some of the gore in it. I think they could have done without some of the blood, and they could have just cut out, you know, a few F-bombs or whatever, and we would have been fine. It would have been rated PG-13. For me, sometimes some of that stuff is just unnecessary. When we look at the story as a whole, I really think that Cyborg and Flash really shined throughout this version of the film, which is great because a lot of their stuff was cut from Justice League, you know, the Joss Whedon 2017 Justice League movie. So to see them kind of come in and be able to shine like that is great. Cyborg was very much the heart of the film. His story was, you know, great in this film. There's some parts, though, that you're like, this would have been more impactful and wouldn't have to be 4 hours long if we had had adequate build up to this, right? If we had had the Marvel method, if you want to call it that, of giving each of these heroes a movie. Maybe you kept Cyborg as introduced in Justice League the same way, you know, like Hawkeye was introduced in Thor or whatever. That would be fine. But I think it would have been really cool if we had started off with Man of Steel, a Man of Steel 2, a Ben Affleck Batman film, a Wonder Woman film, a Flash film, and an Aquaman film before this. And then he introduced Cyborg in Justice League with the Mother Box things that he's tied to, which we'll get into in the spoiler version of this podcast. And I think that would have worked a lot better. We wouldn't have needed 4 hours for this, and we would have really felt like we've, there's a scene at the end with the Flash that we'll get into later, I guess, that would have really felt like even better if it had been a complete, like this is his second or third appearance. That would have been really cool. They could have already been heroes and just, Batman goes out there, they're still all young heroes, and he starts recruiting them the same way he does in this film. And I think it still would have worked. That wouldn't have been a problem. Another big issue with me is that Superman has like 10 minutes of screen time in this. And some of it is mostly as Clark, right? So that's a big problem with me because people always try to say this is Zack Snyder's Superman trilogy with Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League. And Justice League, it's like each movie he gets less screen time. Man of Steel is his film. BVS is Batman vs. Superman, so you get, a lot of Batman in that movie, actually. And then with this movie, since he was killed in BVS, you don't have a lot of Superman in this at all. And it's unfortunate because Superman is, really up there for me for DC heroes. It's like Batman and Superman right at the top for me. And the fact is that he has not been... And Henry Cavill has been actually really great as Superman when he's allowed to be. I think that we'll kind of get in that more with the spoilers, but overall, really liked it. Big improvement from 2017. It's up there as one of my favorite of the DC films. Another negative is the fact that this is presented in a 4:3 aspect ratio, which I know was Zack Snyder's vision because IMAX presents it in 4:3, but when it's being produced on HBO Max and not many people are going to be able to see it on an IMAX screen, I think fitting it to widescreen 16:9 aspect ratio when most people have that TV in their living room would make more sense. So I unfortunately didn't really care for that. It doesn't bother me too much because, you get a few minutes into it, you don't even realize it anymore. But I just wish there was an option. I wish there was an option where I could toggle the 4:3 or the 16:9 aspect ratio because I like watching my movies in the 16:9. So other than that, look, it's overly long. You probably could have cut some stuff out of here that makes it, the whole epilogue probably could have been cut, honestly, and that makes it like a 3.5 hour movie. And you could probably still cut some other stuff that makes it a 3-hour movie, which would be around Endgame's length and be a little bit more digestible, especially if you're ever going to do a theater release for this. But overall, I enjoyed it. There, like I said, some unnecessary gore, unnecessary language, with some unnecessary length. But overall, I enjoyed it. I would see more of this if they were to continue the Snyderverse in conjunction with continuing their plans going forward. Like I said, I'm really excited for the Batman, really excited for Black Adam. I do not want any of those messed up. So if you could still continue this somehow, and still continue whatever they're doing currently, I would be down for that. So let's go ahead and take a pause. If you are trying to avoid spoilers, if you haven't watched it, even though it's about 2 weeks old by the time this is released, go ahead, turn this off, and I'll catch you next time. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and talk spoilers. Okay, so a few things spoiler-wise. Most of my spoilers are going to be complaints. I feel like I can get into the complaints more in the spoilers. Again, I really liked this film, so it's not like I'm hating on it. There's just some things that really bothered me. There's a scene where Martha Kent goes to visit Lois Lane, and they're talking about Clark and, moving on and grief and all that stuff. She leaves the apartment, and it turns out it was J'onn J'onzz, the Martian Manhunter, in disguise. That was pointless. In fact, this one podcast I listened to called Always Hold On to Smallville, they did a breakdown of this. They called her Martha Manhunter, which I thought was really funny. It took out a lot of the emotional impact of that scene where it's Martha extending a hand to Lois and talking about Clark and moving on and all these great things. And instead, it was just Martian Manhunter. There's also a very end scene where Martian Manhunter says, hey, now I'm actually gonna, I can't stand by and watch as this goes on. It's like, oh, so you just sat through all the events of Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League without taking action, and now you're going to take action. Thanks for that, man. Martian Manhunter would usually be in action if possible. He's a member of the Justice League in the comics and the cartoons and such. He shouldn't just be on the sideline. I understand that originally they wanted that to be Green Lantern there, and the Jon Stewart Green Lantern. And WB turned that down, so they just made that scene a Martian Manhunter scene. And look, I love Martian Manhunter. I really do. He's one of the most underrated DC heroes, I feel like. I was introduced to him in the Justice League cartoon, and he's been in Smallville, he's been in Supergirl, and a whole bunch of shows now, and, now he's in this movie, which is great. I love seeing Martian Manhunter. I don't even have any complaints about the way he looks, honestly. I think he looks great. I saw some people complaining about the CG or his design. I thought he looked great. It's just the fact that he was just sitting on the sidelines for so long when he could have joined the fight at any time. Steppenwolf is trying to come put all these mother boxes together to bring Darkseid to take over the planet. And Martian Manhunter's like, no, I'm good. So this is what woke him up, though. He realized he has to do it. And that's cool. If they were to move forward and Martian Manhunter is part of the Justice League, sign me up. Like I said, really love Martian Manhunter and Jon Jones. Let's see. Some other complaints I had were Superman, it looks like, was going to punch Steppenwolf through the portal, send him back to Apocalypse, to Darkseid. Wonder Woman just cuts his head off. Now, some people are reading this as Superman like doing a layup or an alley-oop to Wonder Woman to chop it off. I thought he was, when I first saw it, when he pushes him, I thought he's just pushing him back into the portal. That's not what happened, I guess, because Wonder Woman just chops his head off, then the head goes flying back through, and Darkseid steps on it, which again is kind of unnecessary. Yeah, Superman doesn't kill, so I understand that they got around that by not having him kill, but if he was intentionally setting it up for the kill, then I would have a problem with that. I didn't read it as that. I know a lot of people did, so I just wanted to kind of address that here. Again, another complaint, Superman, like I said, only has like 10 minutes of screen time. I thought Henry Cavill did great. When he was in here, it was good. Moving on, let's move to the last complaint I have, which is probably the whole epilogue. I thought everything else was great. I really enjoyed the flashback scene of Darkseid attempting to take over originally. You see all these old school heroes. You see one of the older Green Lanterns. You see Ares and the gods taking on Darkseid and his crew and kind of pushing them back to where they retreat. That's great. I thought it added a lot of context. I think we really knew a lot more about the mother boxes and what the deal was with those in this version compared to the 2017 version. And so let's get to the complaint. The complaint I have is the epilogue was unnecessary. And in fact, makes it really seem like the heroes didn't win. We get the heroes winning. We get the cool shot of the 6 of them just kind of watching over as the sun's rising. They're all lined up where you can see each one of them. It's a very heroic pose. And then we get an epilogue where Bruce is dreaming, and it's a continuation of the nightmare scene from BVS with the wasteland and all that stuff. And we got a new Justice League, I guess. We have Deathstroke, played by Joe Manganiello. He's in it. He was in an end credit scene an end credit scene in the original version, and it was just right before the epilogue, I think, of this version. And now he's part of the Justice League, right? We get Joker. They're having Joker around. They're having Mara from Atlantis, Flash, Batman. Getting all these, and you see, this is supposed to be where, like in BVS, where you have the Red Eye Superman. It's implied that Lois died, Superman lost it, and has joined Darkseid when Darkseid came back over to take over. Because, at the end of the movie, when Steppenwolf fails, Darkseid says, all right, let's do this the old-fashioned way. Like, we're just going to go take it over. And they get control of Superman. And that's what this whole scene's about. But you get this weird, and I'm okay with the scene as a whole, I guess, but you get this weird moment where Joker and Batman have this interaction, and obviously, like, they couldn't film it together. This was part of the reshoots that they did in 2020, where Ben Affleck is kind of talking on one side of the screen, and then you cut to Jared Leto responding as Joker. A lot of people really like this interaction. I thought this was not Joker at all. This is not Joker. This is not Batman. Batman saying, make no mistake, I will effing kill you is not really Batman. Joker brings up how he already killed one of the Robins, which is supposed to be Dick Grayson in this, even though that's never the Robin that dies in the comics. So just a little different spin, I guess, but that's unfortunate because I really like Nightwing. I really like Dick Grayson. And we get Joker saying, like, do you want to reach around and all this weird stuff to Batman, and it's all just like feels like trying to be deep but isn't, and that scene dragged on for way too long. That conversation dragged on for way too long, and for me, wasn't needed at all, especially since we don't know if you're getting a second and third movie, Zack Snyder, and this is part of the reshoots. I know you wanted to probably add in everything you could because you didn't know if you were getting another one. This scene's not it, man. This scene is not anything that I really enjoyed. We get Bruce waking up after that and get more of a happy ending after that, I guess. But to me, it kind of derailed it where you're like, okay, well, yeah, they're going to lose. They won now, but they're going to lose. It'd be like at the end of Avengers 2012, when Loki goes back to Thanos, then we get a dream that Tony Stark sees of everybody dusting away during Infinity War, and you're like, okay, well, they won now, and they're just, that was pointless. They're going to lose. So I think they could have ended it with Steppenwolf. They could have ended it with Darkseid still saying, hey, we're going to go the old-fashioned way, and kind of tease that he's coming back. But when you show the nightmare sequence, you show that they are going to lose and that they're going to have to somehow try to prevent that loss. Right? And this is supposed to be that they're trying to get Barry to a location to have him time travel to warn Bruce, right? That Lois is the key, which I think is what we're supposed to have seen in BVS. And he said he was too early. And it's supposed to be that this time they send him back and he gets there at the correct time and can stop it. But that's just interesting. And again, it's just unnecessary language and sexual references, Joker referencing, a sex act and that kind of stuff is just not needed, ultimately. Look, like I said, I'd be down to watch more of this if they continue the story. People have been pushing for the movement on Twitter, restore the Snyderverse. And we'll see how it goes. DC has already said, or WB has said that they're not looking to continue this, and I think that makes sense as well. Look, as much as this may have seemed popular, there's no way to know how much money this brought in because it's free on HBO Max. Once you have it's not like an extra amount. It was now in theaters, so they put $70 million into this. Whatever they greenlight would be more than $70 million. Be like $200-300 million to probably complete this. And you have no idea how it affected HBO. Like, did it bring in subscribers? Are they going to stay? Are they ditching after a month? Or, what is the cause of the subscriber growth? Is it part of Snyder's Justice League? There was a lot of buzz online about it, but that doesn't always translate to, doing well financially. And we don't know how it does. I mean, yes, in other parts of the world, it wasn't on HBO Max. Some of it was in other platforms where they may have had to spend money to watch it as like a one-time buy and stuff, so that could bring in some money, I guess. But you don't really know. We'll see how it goes. I think it has been successful enough where they could probably think about it a bit to probably pull something off. I mean, look, Ben Affleck said he was done, but he jumped on and he's doing Flash. And probably like a small role in Flash, but he's going to be doing Flash. So he obviously isn't done, right? So he could come back for another one. Henry Cavill has always said he wanted to do more Superman. And to actually see him do a real Superman where he's a symbol of hope. Here's the thing. Zack Snyder always makes these parallels with Superman to Jesus, and I get that. But the most interesting parts of Superman is the Clark Kent part of Superman. Being raised as an alien by two humans in the middle of nowhere in Smallville, Kansas, where he learns to be like everybody else with special powers, and he learns to do the right thing. That's what Superman is. Superman is a superpowered, overpowered Captain America. He's going to do the right thing because of the values that his parents instilled in him. And that's much more interesting than being the last son or Jor-El passing his son, this God-Jesus metaphor that Zack Snyder is always trying to hit over the head. And some people do hit over the head in comics and stuff. The most interesting parts for me are this is an ordinary guy, or a guy who looks ordinary, who, like Spider-Man, will give up some of his personal life to do the right thing, to have that responsibility of putting on the tights and saving the day and doing what's right. He may not have a lot of weaknesses physically with just kryptonite and magic, but his weaknesses are like losing his father and knowing that with all the powers he has in the world, which is the most out of every superhero, that he couldn't save him. That is the strength of Superman and Clark Kent. Clark Kent is not an alter ego. Clark Kent is who he is, and he learns to be human, and that helps him become a better Kal-El or Superman, is how I see it in my eyes. So it'd be great if they could ever have Henry Cavill do that type of Superman. I mean, look, if they continue on, though, that's my worry, is that if he's going to be evil again in some of these movies, it's just a retread, and it's just going to be him, again, not being in the movie fully or not being part of the League fully, and he's one of the founding members, so I'm really upset with that. I really wanted to see Green Lantern in some of these movies as well. That would be, that's on WB, not on Snyder. But look, that's my thoughts. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. We're at 30-some minutes. Thank you for listening to this first DC Elseworlds, sub-series on the Marvel podcast, To the Infinity Saga and Beyond. If you want to reach us and you want to talk some Marvel or DC, you can send anything my way. marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. Twitter is at TOInfinitySaga. Facebook.com/InfinitySagaBeyond. And thank you, and have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you for the Falcon Winter Soldier Episode 3 recap.